So you're looking for the best starter camera for photography. You're in the right place. What I'm going to do is talk to you about the cameras, talk to you about a few lenses, because it is important if you're getting a DSLR camera to get a decent lens. Now the point of entry here is going to be interesting. You want to have at least $500 for the lowest camera that I'm going to show you that makes a difference. Otherwise, you might be better off using your mobile phone unless you have a specific need for the photos. So we're talking about DSLR cameras. I've got a few options for you. We've got Nikon, we've got a Sony, we've got Canon, and I think I didn't venture as far as Pentax or anything like that. So it's the main options that I'm going to talk about today. I'm going to give you the specs. We're going to find out why they're good. We're going to see, especially for photos, we're looking. So video is a whole new kettle of fish, but we can discuss that in a separate video. So let's have a look at the first camera, which is going to be a Nikon. So Nikon D3500. I always do Canon, so I need to make it fair now and be non-biased. So Nikon D3500, a very good capable camera with good dynamic range. It's an APS-C camera similar to the Canon, which is a crop sensor camera, which basically means the sensor is smaller than a full sized sensor. If you're not familiar with that, it's basically how much of the environment the camera can pick up. Some cameras will have a larger sensor. For example, here in there you can see that is a sensor size. 35mm is like a standard sensor size, a full frame camera. Half of this is the Nikon camera that we're looking at right about there. And price wise, what is that saying? With a bundle refers to it coming with a lens. So with a lens, you're looking at about $750. Is that acceptable? Is that a good price? Well, considering you're getting a camera that will be able to take professional, I'll say professional because they're better than mobile phone cameras in the sense they've got bigger sensors. You can do a lot more customization with them for photographs. The sensors have a better dynamic range. Dynamic range basically allows you to have more control over the photo lighting conditions, how well the photo is taken, and if you basically zoom into the photograph, you'll see a lot more detail. So if you've never taken a photograph on like a bigger camera, you'll be surprised how much detail you're missing out on your mobile phone. However, it does depend. If you're taking photographs for social media, you might not need to get a massive fancy DSLR camera. But if you're getting more prone to doing shoots where you want to get more creative, you want to use it professionally, that's when these will come to hand. So with the camera, you get a lens, and luckily the Nikon one that we're looking at first comes with a kit lens, which basically means it's an option that lets you zoom and covers you for most of the things. But naturally, over time, you will upgrade from that because you'll start noticing you're taking certain types of photos, and then you end up buying a specific lens for that, be it macro lens, be it all-round lower aperture lens. These are all things that you'll learn when you start using your camera in new ways. So the first option is the Nikon D3500. Good starter and not too bad in terms of pricing. I will be putting details in the description so you can check out the links to that specific one. And we've got 750 is the starting point. What about next? What should we say is the next camera? Let's look at the next one. So next up, I'm going to show you another camera option, which is a great all-rounder. It's one of my favorites because I use it for my recording. Let me show you this camera. It is, of course, known by a few names. We have the Canon EOS 250D, also known as SL3. Right here, you are viewing it as a complete package. It comes with a few extras. Essentially, what you're looking at is a camera that is designed fairly recently. You're looking at 2020, so it's like a newer model camera. It's been designed to be nice and easy to use. Small size. Let me show you. You've got like a nice option there. And it's got all those essentials that you would need to do photo very well. It comes with a APS-C sensor, which means it's got a smaller sensor than a full frame camera. It's a DSLR, so it's not a mirrorless camera. We can talk more about that if you're not sure. And I'm trying to find the lens here, which I'm sure I had. What? Is that it? Have I put it on the camera? Oh yeah, look, I always lose my lenses. So there is the lens. And this is, of course, the kit lens that comes with the camera. We have got 18 to 55. For a new person starting in photography, that's like a good range. 18, you get like a nice wide view where you can see landscape shots. 55, you've got a bit of a portrait telephoto lens. So that's quite a nice option, especially if you're on a budget. What are we looking at? We're looking at like $750. So it's in the arena of the first camera that we looked at. However, I personally like this one because you may know I shoot Canon and I've started with Canon. So all of my camera lenses are Canon. So it's easier for me to get another Canon camera, which is why I've got 6 or 7 of them now. However, that's not to say Canon is better than any other camera. It depends which camera you started with and also what you're looking to do. So if you started with Canon and you bought a few Canon camera lenses, you're more likely to buy another Canon. If you bought Nikon, you're more likely to stay with Nikon. So in that grand scheme of things, second option, why is this a good camera? Firstly, it's under the $1,000 mark and you're getting a camera which is capable of good photography, adjustment with lenses. You can put other lenses on the camera, as well as it does video. If you go into video, you can do video with it. So that's like another second option. Next, I'm going to get into more fancy cameras. So what would be another camera if you're already in the photo game and you want something a bit more professional? Let's have a look at that. I was going to talk to you about the next cameras. However, I think it's quite important. Some people don't want to spend lots of money on a camera. So what's the cheapest camera you can get at a good price that still delivers on good photography as a starter? Well, here is one of those options. The Canon T7 is one of my favorites. I do like it a lot. When people ask me what camera should I think about and they're talking about under $500 this or under $600, this is one of the favorites. The reason for that is it does very well in most scenarios. It's a I was going to say mirrorless there because I've just been talking about mirrorless cameras. It's a DSLR camera and it's a Canon. So Canon are known to have a certain look and feel to their colors. And when you take a photograph in a Canon camera, you already have a look to it that you don't really need to do much with. So it's already ready. Whereas other cameras tend to have flat images, depending on if you're shooting RAW, that is, or JPEG. That's another thing in these cameras. You can shoot RAW, which basically means you're keeping all the information of the camera that is taking the photo of. And the T7, what's so great about it? Well, it's a nice size camera. It's a good entry into amateur slash, I won't say pro, but we'll say amateur prosumer level photography. It takes good solid photos. You've got the ability to change a lens on there. If you get into video, there's a video option there, 1080p at 30 frames a second. You've got 24 megapixel sensor. Again, this might not sound like a very big sensor. However, this is going to be a bigger sensor than most mobile phones and point and shoot cameras. So the megapixels aren't the same. In a APS-C, the sensors are bigger, which means they're bigger pixels and megapixels, which let in more light and more dynamic range, which means if you're shooting in certain environments, ISO performance is very good. ISO refers to like light sensitivity in layman's terms. But there's loads of technical things. But as a start camera for photography, if you're totally new to it and you're not sure, the T7 would be a good starting point for you to learn a lot of the basics that you need to progress into other things. So getting used to the aperture, shutter speed, ISO, things that the camera can set up. But the best thing about it is, if you don't really want to get that intense into it, you can simply go on to the automatic mode on the camera and let the camera decide it for you. So that is an option on the camera. So that's like number 3. So we've covered a few cameras today. And number 3, we've kind of gone decent price. We were about 750 with the Nikon. We were about 800 with the 250D. And now we're looking at $450. So we've gone down in price because it doesn't have to be expensive to get into the hobby compared to other cameras. Next up, we look at some other cameras which are more bigger and full frame, which would be interesting. So let's have a look at those. So it can be very difficult to find a number of cameras. However, best starter cameras for photography, we've covered 3 options, which were, I'd say, like reasonable, under $1,000, which is a good amount of money to get a good camera that works for you for photo, whether it's sports. When I say sports, I'm going to put asterisks on that because you want a higher frame rate ideally for sports photography. The cameras we looked at so far They're good all-round cameras, but we want something with a higher shutter speed when you're taking photographs, which will frames per second. We'll refer to that. But this camera I'm going to show you now is a Nikon D850. So we've been looking at Canon. We looked at one Nikon in the starting. This is another solid camera, and it will work very well in many scenarios. What are you getting here? It's not the latest camera. It was out in 2017. However, it's a mid-size SLR camera. It's got a magnesium alloy body, which basically refers to how well it's built, basically, like the structure of the frame of the camera. Magnesium alloy is obviously better than plastic. So that's a class sign that is used more professionally. You're going to be looking at in the region of 45 megapixels. So you've got a good range of resolution for photos. If you're doing big photographs of landscapes and you want to print them out very big and put them on your wall on a canvas, beautiful option. In terms of pricing, it's not bad. Looking at $3,000, which is the camera only, remember. Lenses would need to be separate to that. In addition to that, what else have we got there? So you're going to be looking at a good structural camera to be used professionally. You've got 7 photos per second, which refers to if you were to take photographs of, say, someone running in a football field, you go shh, you'll get 7 pictures for every second. So you get every movement as they run across, which is reasonable. There are cameras out there that do 11, 12 photos per second, so that's like even better, but obviously that's a different type of budget that we're looking at there. So here we've got ability to do 4K video if you decide to go down that route in future. So that's another solid option. I think it's worth mentioning because Nikon do make good cameras and you can use them as workhorses. You can see that there. So that's something to think about photography wise. And obviously this is getting more serious now. You'll notice I've not looked at many Sony cameras today or mirrorless. I might save them for another episode. But what's my favorite camera? I'll say favorite. I'll put it as my last option, and I have got it here. We will compare it to the Nikon, and it is the 5D Mark IV. Solid camera. Again, this is going to be something that is very capable, very versatile. You're looking at something that has magnesium alloy construction. It's actually a bit older than the Nikon. It's released in 2016, and this camera is again a mid-sized SLR camera, magnesium alloy body, so again a structural camera that's built to last. 30 megapixels, which is still sufficient, I think. Obviously it's going to be a bigger sized full frame camera, so in that example you're getting a full frame sensor, which basically means more dynamic range. The photos will look better when you put lenses on there. The compression, the depth of field will be true to life, no crop. If you're not familiar with that, it's basically cameras with crop sensors will have like a 1.6 crop factor. That's a bit of extra detail there. Digic 6 processor, which handles ISO and different settings in the camera for autofocusing. So I don't know, I like it. That's one of my fixed lens and a screen in the back, so it's not too intrusive. 7 frames per second for photo, and it has got capabilities of 4K video should you need that. And I reckon that is your overview. I have done a number of other comparisons on cameras at lower budgets. If you wanted to look at other cameras, there's loads of options out there, but it does depend what you're planning to do with it. I'll link you here to another option. Check that out and I'll see you on that. Got any good camera puns, jokes? Ooh, that's a good question. That is a good question. Let me go over here and rock this over. What you can also do is to see more information, you can go to Google, type Zulf photography, and you can actually go to the website and join free. What this allows you to do is subscribe. You put your name and email address in. I will send you out a free guide which actually gives you additional tips and information to help you on your photo journey. So if you're totally new to photography, I've got a full course that explains ISO, shutter speed, everything. You'll get an email, click on show pictures, you scroll up in your email and it'll give you free guides, frequently asked questions, and a learn photography course. About 2 or 3 minutes each episode. Is about 7 episodes. Click play. You can go through all of that information and it helps you on the next step in photography and learning your camera, because once you've got a camera you'll slowly start upgrading and you'll actually be getting better and better. So I'd love to see the photos you take and how good you get, but that's a quick look at that. I'll see you on the next one.